They say that in a big family, you're never truly alone. But in 2026, I realized that you can be surrounded by people and still feel like you're drowning. For years, the world watched us through a lens, judging our choices and our faith. But this year, the cameras missed the most important parts. They missed the moment Jana's years of waiting finally turned into a miracle in Nebraska. They missed the terrifying night Jessa's body finally gave out under the weight of an impossible standard. And they definitely missed the quiet, heavy conversations that led Jill back to the gate of the big house. I'm Jinger Vuolo. I've spent a long time trying to find my own voice away from the noise of the family brand. For the next hour, I'm pulling back the curtain on the real 2026 Duggar experience. The babies, the breakdowns, and the truth about what it really costs to be a sister. This is our story, unfiltered. I want to start with Jana. For so long, people called her the Cinderella of our family. She was the one who stayed, the one who served, and the one everyone had an opinion about. When she finally moved to Nebraska to start her life with Steven, it wasn't just a move. It was an escape to the life she had always earned. Seeing her as a mother to Archie Gerald has been one of the greatest joys of my life. She waited 34 years to hold her own child, and you can see that patience in the way she looks at him. She isn't performing for anyone anymore. In that quiet farmhouse, she is finally just Jana. But while Jana was finding her peace, things back in Arkansas were reaching a breaking point. Jessa has always been the sister who could handle anything, or at least she made it look that way. With 6 children under her roof, she was the ultimate trad wife icon. But the pressure to be perfect is a dangerous thing. In early 2026, she started a restrictive carnivore diet, hoping it would give her the energy she was missing. Instead, it nearly destroyed her. I remember the phone call when I heard she had collapsed. It was a wake up call for all of us that you can't feed a family if you aren't feeding yourself. Jeremy, and I have taken a lot of heat recently for a comment we made on our podcast. We joked that we were slackers for only having 3 kids. To the world, it was a joke. But in our family, childbearing is seen as the ultimate measure of faith. By choosing a smaller family and a life in Los Angeles, we've effectively stepped out of the quiverful movement. It's caused some tension, sure, but we believe in being present for the children we have. We're choosing quality over quantity, and while some see that as slacking, we see it as stewardship. The biggest shock of the year was Jill. After everything that happened with her book, counting the cost, many of us thought the bridge to the big house was burned forever. But 2026 has been a year of our building. I watched as Jill began making quiet visits back to Tana Town. It started with Jana's baby shower and turned into something more. She isn't going back to the old rules, but she is trying to find a way to love our parents without losing herself again. It's a delicate dance, and I admire her courage for even trying. Being a Duggar in 2026 means carrying a legacy that is both a blessing and a burden. We are constantly compared to one another. Jana is the patient one. Jessa is the perfect one. And I'm the liberal one in LA, but these labels are just boxes. Behind the scenes, we are just sisters trying to figure out how to be adults in a world that still treats us like children in a documentary. We've had to learn that our value isn't tied to the number of grandkids my dad has, but to the truth of our own lives. After her health collapse, Jessa went silent. The fans were worried, but the family was relieved she finally stopped posting. She needed to heal without the judgment of a million strangers telling her how to parent. She's been working with real doctors now, moving away from the fad diets and the perfection trap. She told me that the hardest part wasn't the physical pain, but the shame of admitting she couldn't do it all. We're all learning that vulnerability is more powerful than a polished Instagram feed. Every time I see a photo of Archie, I see a new beginning for my sister. He is a Nebraska boy raised far away from the cameras and the scandals. Jana and Steven are giving him a childhood that is private and protected. It makes me hopeful for the next generation. Maybe they won't have to carry the same scars we do. Maybe for them, the name Duggar will just be a name, not a headline. Jana is setting the blueprint for a new kind of family life. And I think we're all watching her with a bit of envy. It's not just Jana, though. 2026 is officially the year of the baby boom, with several of my brothers and their wives expecting. The grandkid count is skyrocketing toward 30. It's a whirlwind of ultrasound photos and baby announcements. But there's a different energy this time. We're talking more about mental health, about the stress of large families, and about supporting each other through the hard parts of pregnancy. The boom is happening, but the culture is shifting underneath it. Reconciliation is a slow process. Watching Jill interact with my mom again has been emotional. There are still so many things left unsaid, so many apologies that haven't happened. But they are showing up. They are sitting in the same room. They are choosing the relationship over the conflict. It's not a Hollywood ending, but it's a start. In a family as large and public as ours, a start is a miracle in itself. As I look at where we are now, I see a family that is finally growing up, not just in age, but in wisdom. We've faced the miracles in Nebraska and the disasters in Arkansas, and we're still standing. We're learning that you can love your family while still disagreeing with them. We're learning that health is more important than image. And most importantly, we're learning that our story is still being written. This is Jinger Vuolo, and thank you for walking through 2026 with me. The best is yet to come. While we older sisters are out here navigating our own lives, I often think about the younger girls still at home. Jennifer, Jordan, and Josie. They are growing up in a house that is much quieter than the one I remember, but the world around them is much louder. They see Jessa struggling with the pressure of being a perfect mother, and they see me living a completely different life in LA. I wonder what they think when they see the headlines about our family. I want them to know that they don't have to follow the path that was laid out for us. They've seen Jana wait until she was 34 to find her own happiness. And I hope that gives them permission to take their time. We are the old guard, but they are the ones who will truly define what the Duggar legacy looks like in the future. I want to be the sister who tells them that it's okay to have questions and it's okay to want something different. The medical reality of Jessa's collapse was a huge shock to our system. For so long, we relied on a natural or traditional ways of doing everything, but Jessa's situation required professional intervention. She's been working with a dedicated nutritionist and a medical team to undo the damage of that extreme diet. It wasn't just about eating carbs again. It was about fixing her electrolyte levels and restoring her milk supply for the baby. Ben has been incredibly vocal about how dangerous these online trends can and be for busy moms. Watching Jessa follow a doctor's orders instead of a trad wife influencer's advice has been a massive cultural shift for our family. It's a quiet admission that sometimes the modern world has the answers we were taught to avoid. In Nebraska, Jana has found something she never quite had in Arkansas: anonymity. People there know her as Steven's wife or Archie's mom, not just a girl from a TV show. She's joined a local quilting group and a young mom's circle at her church. For the first time, she's building friendships that aren't tied to our family brand. Stephen has been such a grounding force for her. He's encouraged her to have her own hobbies and her own space. When they welcomed Archie on December 30th, the Nebraska community rallied around them in a way that was so simple and sweet. No paparazzi, no film crews, just neighbors bringing over casseroles. It's the life Jana was picky enough to wait for, and seeing her thrive in that simplicity makes me realize how much we all craved a normal life. The internet has been a bit of a battlefield lately. On one side, you have people using Jessa's crisis to mock our upbringing. On the other, you have people criticizing Jeremy and me for slacking and not having more children. It's like we're trapped between two worlds. The trad wife movement wants us to stay in the past, while the modern world wants us to denounce everything we were raised with. Jeremy and I had to be very firm about our boundaries. We love our family, but we aren't going to be pressured into a lifestyle that doesn't feel right for us. Choosing to have 3 children and live in a city isn't a rejection of faith. It's an evolution of it. We're navigating this middle ground where we can be modern parents without losing the values that actually matter. The most moving part of 2026 has been watching Jill quietly rebuild her place in the family. It hasn't been a big public event with banners and speeches. It's been small, private moments. She's been coming to the big house more often, sometimes just to let her boys play in the yard or to sit with my mom. There is still a lot of healing to do after everything that was revealed in her book, Counting the Cost. But I see my parents trying. I see them listening more than they used to. Jill's return isn't about her saying she was wrong. It's about everyone agreeing that the relationship is more important than the argument. It's our building phase that is slow, messy, and real. And honestly, it's the most Duggar thing we've ever done, finding a way back to each other when everything seemed lost. We head further into 2026. The Duggar family tree is growing faster than I can keep track of, with Jana finally welcoming little Archie Gerald on December 30th. It felt like the start of a whole new chapter. But it wasn't just Jana. This year has been a literal baby boom for our family. John and Abby are expecting their third child this winter, and both Jeremiah and Jed have announced new additions to their growing families as well. It's official. The grandkid count is hitting 30. It's a whirlwind of ultrasound, photos, and nursery planning in the family group chat. But more than just the numbers, I see a shift in how my brothers and their wives are approaching parenthood. They are more private, more intentional, and more focused on the health of their own little units than the big family brand we grew up with. After months of silence following her health collapse, Jessa finally made her return to the public eye. It wasn't with a flashy video or a big announcement, but with a quiet, honest post about her recovery. She admitted that her carnivore diet experiment was a dangerous mistake, and that she had to prioritize her physical and mental well-being over a certain look or standard. Watching the comments, I was surprised to see how much support she received. People weren't looking for a perfect Jessa. They were looking for a real one. Her journey back to health has been a lesson for all of us sisters that admitting you're overwhelmed isn't a failure. It's an act of courage. She's back now, but she's different. She's slower, she's softer, and she's finally breathing again. I've done a lot of thinking about that. Slacker comment Jeremy and I made in the world of 2026, where everything is about more kids, more followers, more influence. Choosing to have less can feel like a radical act. Jeremy and I are very content with our 3 children here in Los Angeles. We've realized that our legacy isn't going to be the number of people who carry a last name, but the health and the faith of the children we raise. We want them to grow up in a home where they are seen as individuals, not just part of a crowd. If that makes us slackers in the eyes of some, we're okay with that. We're trading the pressure of the quiverful movement for the peace of a focused, intentional life. The big house in Tonatown feels different these days, with Jill making more frequent visits and the tension of the past few years slowly starting to thaw. There's a sense of, or building, that I never thought I'd see. It's not perfect, and there are still plenty of hard conversations to be had, but seeing Jill and my mom together with the grandkids gives me hope. We're learning that reconciliation doesn't mean you have to agree on everything. It just means you agree that the people in the room are worth the effort. My parents are changing. My sisters are changing. And I think we're all finally realizing that the Duggar name is big enough to hold all of our different lives, from the Nebraska plains to the streets of LA. So here we are at the end of this hour and at the heart of 2026. This year has taught me that life doesn't follow a script, no matter how much you try to film it. Jana found her miracle by being picky and waiting for her own time. Jessa found her strength by finally admitting she was broken. And Jill found her way home by standing her ground. As for me, I'm just grateful to be their sister. I'm grateful for the lessons, the babies, and even the disasters, because they've brought us to this place of honesty. To everyone who has followed our journey, thank you for sticking with us. We're not the same people we were when we started, and I think that's the greatest miracle of all. This is Jinger Vuolo. Thank you for listening, and God bless.